Well, good afternoon, fam. Hey, it's your brother G Hightower coming in on this awesome Saturday afternoon. Question for you. Do you embrace accountability in your relationship? I know you ain't never wrong anyway, right? It's always her fault. It's always his fault. Yeah, I know. The reality is, family, none of us are perfect. There's only one person who walked the face of this earth and lived a perfect, sinless life, never ever making any error, never making any mistake, never ever wounding anybody spiritually, mentally, emotionally, or physically. And that is Jesus the Christ. He's the only person who walked this earth, lived here 33 and a half years, yet without sin. The rest of us have messed up a bunch of times, far more than we'd like to admit. There is a small group of us who are really, really honest and completely forthwith and say, you know what, hey, it was me. I did that. I take ownership of that. But most of us struggle with accountability. However, accountability is necessary if you're going to build and maintain a healthy love relationship. And so, my question for today: do you embrace accountability or do you struggle with it? Because if you struggle with accountability, then you're going to struggle in your relationship. And I'm not speaking that negatively over your life, it's just a fact of life. We have to embrace accountability, family, if you're going to maintain that relationship. Because um, let me say this, I know it's important for women. It's important for women to have a man who says, baby, you know what? My bad on that. I messed up. You know what? I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was moving us in the right direction. And baby, I went in the wrong direction. You know that, baby, I'm my bad on that. Now, ladies, let me say this to you. It's vitally important that when that man does come and he's willing to be vulnerable, he's willing to be transparent and say, yo, baby, I messed up. It is not your opportunity to beat him up. All right. One of the problems with accountability for both men and women is that the other person, the offender, the person who messed up, is fearful that they're going to get beat up, verbally speaking, not physically, but verbally speaking, that they're going to get beat down, they're going to get clowned, they're going to get, there's going to be jokes forever. You're never going to let that person live down the mistake. And so, listen, when it comes to accountability, what's really needed. Hey, Miss Trina Smalls, good to see you. Lavora, good to see you, dear. What's really important, family, for both of us in the relationship is that we embrace the other person when that person is willing to come forth and say, hey, you know what? I messed up on that. My bad. Boom. And then we hug it out. We love each other and we keep it moving. We don't drag it in the sand. You don't keep beating that person up with it. Yeah, dang, we would have been further down the road if you hadn't done that. Well, dang, if you had messed us up, well, dang, if you hadn't messed up with that, with the finances, we could have, that's not what we're not going to do. Because when you continue to do that, the other person will ultimately, eventually shut down. All right. So now let me say this to all my beautiful sisters. Ladies, it's so important to us as men that you're willing to be accountable too. This is amazing to me that I find so many women, certainly not all, I won't even say most, but it is amazing to me how many women just literally run from accountability. Oh my God, listen. And this is not to say that men don't do it as well, because men do. But for most of us men, we're conditioned, we're trained from the time that we're little boys that, hey, real men apologize. Real men, this is part of manning up, that you come and say, hey, I was wrong. That's a part of taking accountability as a man. That's a part of taking ownership as a man. That's a part of emotional maturity as a man. And we as men, most of us, especially those of us who were brought up a certain way with our father, our grandfather, uncles, older brothers, or fatherly figures in our life, whether that was a coach, a pastor, or some other wonderful gentleman in the community. Those of us men that have had a fatherly figure, whether or not he was a biological father, but if he was a fatherly figure in our life, that was instilled in us. Ladies, I find that it is really challenging for many of you to walk in that place of grace and be willing to be accountable. I mean, some women would literally rather jump off of a cliff. There's a, I follow this group of comedians on Instagram. One is a husband and wife team. Well, actually, two of them are husband and wife teams, but it's a group of actors and they're comedians. And the wife, she's literally getting ready. She slips and she's hanging off the balcony. And she's like, help, honey, help, I slipped. And she's hanging off the balcony. And her husband goes, okay, baby. And he gets ready to grab her. He says, wait, before I help you up. She's like, did you spend that money last month? Did you really lose that money? Or did you spend that money? He's like, okay, confess now. And she's thinking about it as she's hanging off this balcony, like 28 stories up in the air. And as she's hanging on, her husband is like, okay, come on, baby, I'll pull you up. I'll pull you up right now if you take accountability for it. And she lets go. She's like, oh, and she falls to her death. It's fictional, but it is the most hilarious thing ever that she literally is willing to let go of her husband's hands and fall 28 stories to her death instead of taking ownership for spending some money that she had no business spending, right? Taking ownership, just being accountable and saying, I'm sorry, babe, to your husband. Babe, I'm sorry, I messed up. Yeah, babe, I got that wrong. So, ladies, just as sure as we need to be accountable to you, ladies, we also need you all to be accountable to us. Accountability for women, it's vitally important, ladies, because what it says to us, watch this. Let me bless you with this. All right. Because one of my assignments on the planet Earth is to bridge the gap between men and women. Because, like, why are we at war with each other? Listen, Lavora, Tynesha, Miss Trina Smalls, listen, we need you. I'm one black man. I love my black women. I love women all over the world, but I especially love my black women. We need y'all. We're not going to be at our best without you, and you're not going to be at your best without us. Despite what Beyonce and Sierra and all these other women talk about, go on with your bad self, girl, I can have another one and you in a minute and all that kind of stuff. And, they're not living anything that they're singing about, amazingly. Again, a lack of accountability, even for the Beyonce and the Sierras of the world, no accountability. Sierra did a song last year. I was shocked. I'm like, first of all, you're supposed to be a woman of God. Well, let me take that back. God forgive me. Because I hate that thing when somebody says that to me or anybody that I love and respect. She's not supposed to be a woman of God. Sierra is a woman of God. Russell Wilson is a man of God. All right. But Sierra is a woman of God, and she goes into the studio and she creates a song as a woman of God who has a beautiful, godly husband who's worth $500 million. Sierra goes in, and oh, by the way, who's also been an outstanding father to her son that she shares with Future, which is not his son biologically, but Russell Wilson has been a better father to another man's son than his father has been to his son. And despite all of these mega blessings that Sierra has, she goes into the studio and she creates a song telling women, oh, you ain't gotta do this, you ain't gotta be tied to no man, and you can do it on your own, and da da da. It's like, Sierra, what kind of message are you promoting? And you're a godly woman. It's amazing. So, ladies, let me share this with you. And I talk about this at length. I have a whole chapter devoted to it in my book, 7 Man Secrets Every Woman Should Know. And what I talk about in that book is this. And ladies, I want to bless you with this tiny piece I'm going to give you right here. Ladies, men don't lack emotional intelligence. Men are not lacking in terms of their emotional ability or their willingness to be emotionally available. What men need from you, ladies, is the same thing you need from us. A willingness to listen. And let me say this parenthetically, listen without interruption. Number one. Number two, to understand. And when we share our hearts with you, that you will listen and receive what we're saying, absent of judgment and criticism. Because you can't expect your man to open up to you and share his heart with you, and you're going to judge what he says. and you're going to judge what he doesn't say, and you're going to criticize what he says and criticize what he didn't say. Ladies, it's going to shut that man down. And let me say this really quick, because I hear this all over the world, literally. Ladies, it is not our job to be vulnerable with you. Dr. G, I can't believe you would say that, but come on, you're the love doctor. Listen, let me say this to you. It is not our job, ladies, to be vulnerable with you. I know. And there's married women out there that are listening to me right now, and you've been married for years, and you're listening to me, and you perhaps have been listening to me for years. Like, oh God, I can't believe he would say that. Listen, by definition, the word vulnerable means to be open and susceptible to attack. How can I, Trina, bless you, Terry, good to see you. Lisa, blessings to you, dear. Trina, if I'm your husband and I'm called by God, not by society and not even by your parents, I'm called by God to be your covering and to be your protector. How am I serving you as your headship, as your covering, as your protector, if I'm also vulnerable? How am I operating in my God-ordained position? It's impossible. Lisa, Tanisha, it's impossible for me to serve in my God-ordained position as your covering, as your protector, and also be vulnerable. Oh yeah, I know that messed some of y'all up. All right, I gotta go. I'm gonna give y'all 4 more minutes. Let me give you this. Somebody drop in a chat for me real quick. 2 words: emotional nakedness. Emotional nakedness. Emotional nakedness. Drop that in the chat for me. Emotional nakedness. Now, emotional nakedness is different than vulnerability. Emotional nakedness means that I am willing to share with you some of the things that I'm dealing with on an emotional level. And that I will do this without making myself susceptible to attack or being accessible to be wounded. All right. So, in conclusion, for this little preview today, because this is what we're going to be teaching tonight in our Preparing for Real Love group class, our group coaching class, this piece is absolutely necessary. If your goal is to ultimately be in a rich, healthy relationship, if your goal is to ever be married, I promise you in Jesus' name, you got to get this. You got to get this. I don't care how your mom did it. I don't care how your grandmama did it. Your aunties did it. I don't care what they taught you. It is all wrong if it's not lining up with this, ladies, in terms of how you are to meet the emotional needs of your man. Because I know, ladies, you've probably been taught erroneously, even by your dad, your uncles, and your brothers and them. Oh, men ain't supposed to be emotional anyway. You just make sure that you cook, clean, and give him some good sex and shut up. Men need more than that. That's cool. We need that too. But ladies, your man is supposed to be your confidant. You're supposed to be his bestie, not some other dude that he grew up with. That's cool. We as men, we need that male, that male camaraderie as well. Just like ladies, you need that feminine fellowship, right? But at the end of the day, ladies, you're supposed to be his confidant. You're supposed to be his number one, his chief advisor. You're supposed to be his chief prayer warrior. And ladies, if he can't come to you, then where's he going to go to? You should be his number one homie. When we're laying down and having pillow talk at night, listen, we're supposed to be cuddling and being able to talk about anything and everything. Hello? So you have to be willing to let that man be emotionally naked. And ladies, you have to be emotionally naked. You have to give that because what you don't want, ladies, and this is going to hurt, but I'm not here to hurt. I'm here to help. What you don't want, ladies, is to shut down that facet of your relationship, that you don't allow him to be emotionally naked, that you don't allow him to share openly and be able to share what's on his heart, and you don't judge him. You don't want to shut that part of your relationship off, because I promise you, if you shut that part of your relationship off, sure enough, there is a woman who will seek to meet that emotional need. If you don't make sure your man's emotional love tank is full, there's another woman who will come and make sure that emotional love tank is full. If your man is hurting, God forbid, he loses his mom, he loses his father, there's some other tremendous event that happens in his life. And if your man can't be emotionally naked and share how he feels, if your man can't cry and you still maintain honor and respect for him as a king, there's another woman who will provide that for him. You don't want to allow, let me say it like this, ladies, I know you'll catch it. You don't want to open a doorway to the enemy and give the enemy access into your relationship, access into your marriage, because you wouldn't open the door to your heart and allow him to be emotionally naked with his heart. When we say that we are one, Terry, when we say that we are one, Lavora, when we say that we are one, Tynesha, Miss Tawana, when we say that we're one in relationship, the Bible says in Ephesians 5 that we become one flesh and we are one in everything. So, ladies, as much as you need us to be listening to you, to hear you, and to understand your heart, and to make sure that we don't just provide money and material things, but also make sure that we're good caretakers of your heart, ladies, we need you to also be good caretakers of our heart. That's what we are to be for each other. We're to be not just good sex partners, not just good business partners, not even just good ministry partners. We need to do all of that. We should have all of that. But we better be, first and foremost, the caretakers for each other's heart. Brothers, I'm going to give you the same love nugget because you know I'm an equal opportunity preacher. Brothers, if you are not a caretaker for your woman's heart, don't think that just because you got her up in a nice Range Rover or a nice G unit, just because you got her in a nice Benzo sitting on Lorenzo's or whatever they sitting on, you know, we ride on 24s. Yeah, I got my woman on 24s, dog. That's cool. You got her a nice whip with some nice shoes on it. But bruh, you better not open the door to the enemy to let some other joker be her confidant. You better not let some other joker be the one who's an emotional caretaker for her heart. You better be her number one ear, the number one ear where she can come and share her heart. You got to be that source. And if you are not that resource for her, the enemy will. A woman who loves God is not going to go out and look for the attention of another man. Let me help y'all brothers in here tonight. I said a woman who really loves God and has godly character. All right, ladies, a man who really loves God and has godly character. I'm not talking about just a brother in the church. I'm talking about a man who possesses godly character. They're not going to go out and willingly look for somebody. But see, the enemy, what we refuse to understand, the enemy is always watching, taking notes, gathering data on us. And so the closest relationship that we have on the earth is our marriage, not our child, not our children, but our marriage relationship. The enemy is taking notes. He's gathering data. And so whatever door that you consistently leave open for all these ladies who think it's cool, it's cute, and it's something to laugh about, that every time you get mad that you shut down the cookie shop from your husband. That's not cute. That's something that silly women do. That's something that foolish, immature women do. That you shut down the cookie shop just because you don't feel like it tonight. He got on my nerves. I didn't give him none last night. Okay, honey, you keep playing. You keep playing. Let me tell you what the word says. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, in case you didn't read it. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, It says, even during the time of fasting, you do not withhold, after the time of fasting, you do not withhold sex from your husband. You are to make sure that your husband's sexual needs are met, hunty hunty. Men, you are to make sure that your woman's need is met, bruh. Okay, you stress, you got a lot of work. Okay, go home, get a good shower, get some good sleep. But in the morning, you better make sure you minister to her before you get out that door. A woman has needs too. It ain't just us. Ladies, men, we have emotional needs too. It ain't just y'all. Make sure you keep that emotional love tank open, because the Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, if you fail to meet each other's needs, then you open the door to Satan. You open the door to Satan. You did that by shutting down a cookie shop. Love you, mean it. So we all got to be accountable. The only way the relationship can be healthy and sustainable is that we're all accountable. This is your brother, Coach G Hightower, the Entanglement Coach. I love you. Abundant blessings to you. I'm going to get to this awesome group coaching session. Boom, preparing for real love. You're welcome to join us. We getting ready to get in just a few minutes. So love you. Blessings to you. We'll see you later by God's grace. Oh, how can you join? I guess that's important, right? So boom, you got 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes to send me an inbox message right here on Facebook. Send me an inbox message on Facebook. Inbox me right now and just say, hey, group coaching. And then I'll send you the information so you can join us. Yes, it is not free. It is a cost. However, I'll hook you up so you can join in, so you can get this education for your relationships. All right. Blessings to you, fam. Love you to life. We'll see you later by God's grace.